So it was the spring of 1998. I was 24 years old. I had a fresh amount of money from a tax return that was burning a hole in my pocket. And I told myself, I'm going to go down and buy a Martin guitar. And I'd gone down multiple times to Strait Music off of 5th Street and Lamar there in Austin, Texas. And I looked at Martin guitars on multiple occasions. I think I'd talked myself into a D18 at the time. And I went in there and I knew how much it cost. But when I got there this last time with a check in my checkbook in hand, I looked on the wall, and sitting next to the Martin was this guitar right here, and it was by a brand I had never heard of. It had beautiful binding, beautiful inlay around the sound hole, ebony fretboard with interesting inlays. But it was a Taylor. And I didn't know anything about Taylor at the time. And realistically, they weren't even 25 years old yet. So I asked him, man, that's a good looking guitar. What is it? Well, it's a Taylor. Well, all right, well, it's a Taylor. What's a company? I said, well, where's it made? They said, well, it's made in California. I said, well, let me look at it. So I picked it up and looked inside of it, and sure enough, it said El Cajon, California. And it had a model number that said 810 WMB. And I knew nothing about Taylors, so I didn't know what that meant at all. But I knew I liked the way it looked. So I took it down, sat down with it, and I strummed it. And realistically, it sounded more like this because I strummed it with a pick. And it resonated and resonated and resonated and resonated. And I went, wow, how is it that this guitar sounds so good? But I looked at the price, and it was marked down. This, of course, guitar was a 1997 special edition. Now, I didn't know that at the time. To me, it was just an 810 WMB, and I thought that was just something that was in their lineup. Well, $1,600 for a guitar that sounded so good, which was a little bit less than what the Martin was. I said, it's got Grover tuners. It sounds great. It's probably going to wear in. It's obviously got rosewood back and sides, ebony fingerboard. You know what? I'll take it. And for just over $1,700 drive out, it came with this guitar, a case, and a bunch of picks. So, after a while of me playing the guitar, I fell in love with it and took it all over the South with me. beach. It's been to Road Atlanta. It's been to several different racetracks across the South. It's been to Louisiana at several different events across the drag racing area down there, as well as a couple of interesting trips to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. But at the end of the day, it stayed with me because it just played right. And one day, I was curious about this guitar. And in 1998, the internet was available. There was not a whole lot on it. Well, not of substance. So, looking up guitars and doing research on guitars, not really something you could easily do in the late 90s. Not until the mid 2000s did that start to happen. And this was a guitar probably in the 2000 teens sometime. Some is where I started looking around for these guitars and trying to figure out just exactly what model of guitar, because people kept asking me about this guitar, and I was like, man, it's an 810 WMB. Like, 810? Well, what's a WMB? I said, darned if I know. And people played it and were like, wow, that guitar sounds amazing. Well, WMB is rumored to mean with more bass, and it's a reference to the shape of the bracing and the way it was shifted in this guitar to emphasize the bass response to give it a more Martin-like tone, which was why I bought it in the first place. And this guitar, a normal 810, is similarly appointed, but it usually has a pick guard. And there apparently are, in this limited run of like 250, 275, something like that, there was a special edition before Taylor had an actual custom shop. They made special run guitars that were kind of custom shoppy made one-offs. And this is one of them from 1997. This was a series of them. There was approximately 250, 270, something like that were made. And they had different things. Some of them had pick guards. Some of them did not have pick guards like this one. A couple of them had electronics. I think somebody said that one of them had electronics that was added to it. But over the years, these guitars went from being $1,600-ish to you can't buy one for less than $2,500 now. So in the 24 years since it was, no, actually this is going to be 25 years since it was built. This guitar has accrued in value. But Taylor went from being, in 1997-98, a 20-year guitar maker to being one of the forefronts of the American guitar acoustic brands. And they have definitely changed a lot. And this guitar kind of was one of the ones that I think might be an unsung hero of that movement from unknown guitar builder to guitar giant. These guitars were originally only made in El Cajon, California. I don't think that the plant in Mexico had been opened yet. They might have been, but I'm guilty of not knowing much about anything other than the 800 series, 900 series, 600 series guitars. Over the years, I have never owned any Taylor that was not made in America except for the GS Mini, which realistically is my daughter's. But this guitar was originally going to be a Martin until Strait Music had this guitar on the wall. So I went in to buy a Martin and came out with a Taylor, and I'm sure Bob Taylor would be absolutely thrilled to hear that. And I've never been able to buy a Martin since buying this guitar, because every time I pick a Martin up, I go, but the Taylor sounds better. So this guitar kind of ruined me from buying Martins. I'm sure at some point in time I'll own a Martin. This is not that day. So the bottom line is, this guitar has the story of walking in to buy one thing and coming out with something different. And if you look at the grain on the back, especially on the back of the neck, it really is just beautiful. It's got this amazing just feel and look to it, and the neck is just thick enough to give you the ability to feel comfortable playing chords, but also thin enough that you can reach around with your thumb and play stuff up high. And when you're playing, I mean, even up high, it's really easy. I mean, obviously I haven't played that in a long time. Don't hold me to it. But the fact that you can just reach over, there's something about the way this neck is shaped. Just feels good up high. It feels good down low, and it's almost like it's got a flat spot coming up to the nut that develops, and you just feel like your hand just fits just right here. And it makes it really easy to play chords. You know, I mean, so anyway, so this was going to be a Martin until it came out of Taylor. And Strait music is, if you are around Strait music, they'll still let you go in and play a guitar like this today, but there's no 810 in the lineup because they are all different shapes now. There is no 810 and hasn't been for a few years. I think the Grand Pacifics came out in 2018, 17, somewhere in there. So it's been a while since they've made a 10 series guitar, but these guitars really are something. If you find one, you should definitely pick it up, because it will almost make you throw rocks at a Martin because of how good they are. And especially now that they're 25 years old, they've all probably opened up a lot better, and if they were well maintained, they were probably in better shape than a lot of other guitars that can't be modified. I mean, something else on this guitar was, in the case, it came with instructions on how to adjust your neck to get maximum performance. And I mean, when was the last time you saw a Gibson come with something like that? I mean, these guys were making revolutionary guitars way ahead of their time, but these guitars were from a builder that nobody knew until they knew. And it became a if you know, you know moment for Taylor. So that's the story of this guitar. It's a tax return. It was a tax return guitar. It was a purchase that I made because it was something I felt like I really, 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 really wanted to have. And turned out it was one of the best investments ever. And it still makes me smile. And now that my daughter has a Taylor GS Mini, we sit and practice playing chords and do everything. And it reminds me of playing with my dad. So this guitar has a lot of special memories for me, and I hope it has it for her too when she gets older. Anyway, until next time.